All right, and we are live.
And welcome to HIVE Thrive number 36. I'm your co host along with Mino. My name is Aloha Ed. You can call me Edwin or Ed. HIVE Thrive is a wonderful show about the infrastructure, the community, the people, the spirit of the Hive blockchain. Today, it is our pleasure to host Grampo. You may know him as the developer of the Wavio or Wavio.com, and I'll let Mino frame us today.
Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome. I don't know what show this is. I just told you that. I just told you the show, but I am having one of those blank moments. Oh, 36.
Number 36.
Number 36
36.
of 1,000. We're supposed to do 1,000 before the year is up. I'm having I'm having my doubts. I don't think we're gonna be able to pull it off. Um, but it doesn't matter because we're betting on effort, so it is what it is. Uh, that said, today's going to be a very interesting conversation because Grampo is he's a controversial subject, I would say. Um, but at the same time, he's someone who's trying to break the mold, and I want to talk to him. I want to push him on these things because, as we know, Hive has well, more than this, but if I had to describe a Hivian, there's like two types of Hivians. Those who are purists, who want Hive to be only for blogs, and you have to be a good writer, and you have to put pictures and put the sources of the images and all that stuff. And those like Grampo that want to just use Hive as the back end, as a database, if you will. That's a oversimplification, but and want to build interesting things on top of it. And of course, there's always going to be pushback when you try to move away from the status quo. So today, I think today's conversation is going to be really interesting because we're going to discuss some of that, some of the pushback that you have when you try to build things that are quote unquote not traditional on Hive, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. But for those of you who don't know, I think you should by this point. But Grampo is the man behind Waveview, which aims to be Hive's marketplace. Um, and although it aims to be that, it is also a social front end for Hive, and it has some interesting features that I enjoy, like the ability for you to look for people with specialties. For example, I enjoy that one. I found out that it turns out that I like to write a lot about philosophy, but I'm not nowhere near the top. I was like, but it is kind of cool. So that way you can find experts on subjects and what have you. But also, Wavio has some features that I thought were ahead of its time, like the ability for you to log in with Google. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Wavio, you can log in with Google, and well, of course, when that came to be, it was ahead of its time. There was some backlash for it too because these little accounts. I don't know what people were thinking, but Grample, thank you for coming, brother. I hope that we have a very productive conversation. I want to get your vision of what Hive is supposed to be. What motivated you to build Wavio, and where are you right now? And where do you see it going in the next years?
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm totally open to the discussion and addressing the questions if there are any, and as well as talking about the vision that Waveview has and the service that Waveview wants to provide. Yeah.
Awesome. When did you find the chain? Let's start there. When did you find Hive? Or no, you were around Legacy years, right? I think I remember your username from back then.
The journey to Hive started with me actually um, being in my corporate office in a cozy life, reading the 9 pages of Satoshi, and then there was one particular thing that left a very deep impression on me, which is the permissionless of business relations. And that part basically, you can become a miner and you don't ask permission, because in a regular business, if you want to buy something, you sign a contract. If you want to sell something, if you want to use technology or something, you always sign a contract. And here, you can actually become a miner. You don't ask permission, and you actually part of a business process. So that was the part that struck me the most because, well, in order to be a miner, you obviously need to have a lot of technical expertise, access to affordable electricity, and all of that. And the question was like, can something be done of a similar, but so that people with marketing, let's say skill set or sales skill set, or just data operators, can join an open business model and play their role in that model, just like witnesses play the role in the consensus of Bitcoin or actually on Hive as well, and earn their share. And that forced me to start thinking about all the possible protocols and solutions that can lead us there. And once the open reference protocol was the first draft of it was created, then the only logical home at that time was Steam blockchain, which allowed for fast block sizes, almost free, well, basically free, no fees per se on posting, and fast enough to support these ideas. And since then, basically, we started to build it, presented the concept on some of the Hive Fests, some results, all of that. But as you mentioned, this is definitely taking Hive classic concept of blog posting to a different level.
Yeah, most definitely. And the thing is, I'm sure you and I are going to agree on this one that we really have to move away from the rigid thinking that Hive can only be for blogs, because that is, I don't know how else would you describe it, but if I can come up with a decent analogy, that would be like you having one model of a home that you can build, and you refuse to build anything else, but you have all the materials. So like the limit is your imagination, what you can come up with, the business model you can come up with, and then there are people saying no, you got to build it like this: one floor, two rooms, one bathroom, and I'm like no. So I applaud anybody who's trying to break the mold, trying to go away from the so-called status quo, which is what you've been doing. And I also have to say, it is not a very easy path to take for also financial reasons, because I think straying away from the main chain, going on a level 2, and your token runs on Hive Engine. I am sure I'm correct, but correct me if I'm wrong. Has other layers of challenges. You basically, we've had, and I'm not trying to put Hive Engine in any way down, but this is just factual. You guys can look it up. I'm not making this up. We've had a lot of outages with Hive Engine nodes this year, and as far as I know, it's still not working great. So having that at any level 2 project is going to really struggle, at least in my observations. But even with that aside, let me ask you: like, is this project that you're doing, Wavio, is this something that you're doing on your own? Do you have a team? How are you dealing with all these challenges? Hive Engine going down. Are you planning on maybe rebuilding again on my guy, formerly known as VSC? What are you? Where's your head at when it comes to that?
Well, the simple answer here is regarding the token and placement. So obviously, the initial idea, we've been expecting that smart media tokens will be launched on Hive as on the level 1, and I still believe this is probably one of the most advanced ideas, because the biggest problem of a layer 2, and it doesn't matter whether it's Hive Engine or something else will be built, and Hive Engine is actually the only practical solution at this point. So we can discuss future, but there is nothing to really compare it to at the moment. On the level 2, the problem is that Hive uses resource credits to do posts or to publish any information. if it were smart media tokens as it was originally crafted by Larimer and the team, is that you have DeFi pair of your token versus Hive, which would have dramatically increased, by the way, the utility usage for Hive. But the second part was important, that the resource, basically the Hive that was stored in that pair, would be used as to calculate resource credits for people that own only the second token.
Oh.
And that would have been the great solution. So that an app user, they only need one token, app token, and they will be able to publish and use network resources. Unfortunately, we've been doing a lot of other developments, which probably has some merit. We're still yet to see any price movement or any utility use increase because of these innovations, but this is obviously a very different topic.
Yeah, I honestly, I keep on going back to this thing that my friend Clayboy used to tell me all the time. It's like markets can be irrational a lot longer than you can be. What did he say? Liquid? No, that's not the word.
Solvent.
Solvent. Close
Well,
enough.
I think one of the things that happened too, Mino, that maybe we don't always appreciate is how long ago did the legacy chain? How long ago did the legacy chain launch happen? It's been over a decade now, right? And when did the hard fork occur?
5 years ago.
Yeah, and so in that interval, I mean, you've kind of had like an explosion in like the altcoin space. I mean, we saw the emergence of these some of these other SocialFi or SoFi protocols. I mean, you remember like what was it, Friendster or FriendSpace or something, and all these different kind of things that launched boom and effectively died in the
Yeah.
life cycle has been
I,
the
I,
life cycle. Yeah.
I don't know if you've done this already, Ed. I'm sure Grampo has done it because he strikes me as the guy who would. But sometimes you find old USB sticks and you're like, oh, what's in here? And then you find old wallets and
Mm.
you're like, oh, did I? That's right. I used to have some of these tokens, and then I go look for whatever token it was. I used to have a lot of BitShare tokens, and they're dead. They're completely dead. Or uh, I used to have whale shares token. I don't know if you guys know what that is. That doesn't exist anymore. There used to be something called Weku. Doesn't exist anymore. So I found the other day I found those wallets. So all these, like you said, SoFi projects are dead, haven't survived. I don't really know the reasons as to why, but it seems to me that this niche that we are in, the idea of mixing the social layers with crypto, is just very difficult. Like nobody has the formula. There's nobody out there right now that can tell me, hey, listen, I figured it out. This is how we do it, and just kicking butt. And so, which is one of the reasons why I think trying to branch out and not make Hive be exclusively about the social layer makes a lot of sense. Um, which and why I appreciate efforts to do such a thing like what Grandpa is doing.
Well, it's probably good to periodically remind ourselves that Hive is an efficient textual data store. And there's a lot of different things that can be done with that. But I don't want to interject too much here. The only thing I did before we got too far in the weeds is I wanted to ask Grampo the origin of the Wavio name, where that came from.
And I'm happy to dive into that part, but allow me to delay it a little bit, because allow me to start with basically explaining, and the beauty of our group is that everybody understands how the Hive operates. And so I can start with maybe a little bit different way of explaining what Wavio is and the protocol at the base of it, um, than I would normally talk to a less savvy audience. So, you see, when you're making a post, on the Hive blockchain, you're getting a unique URL to that post. That is, we call it permalink on a technical level, but for the audience to easily understand it, just a unique URL. So the innovation that Wavio came with is that instead of making it a post, it can be a page, like a wiki page that exists on the blockchain, which is posted using a comment, so it will also have a unique URL that can be now referenced. And then the idea was, well, can we take it beyond just the page? Because once the page is there, the beauty is that people can reference it, right? So people can link to it from their posts. What if that object would be a business? Like basically just a company information, like normally what you get on Google Maps. And then again, it will have this unique URL, just like sort of like a hashtag that you can reference in your post or in your comment. And once you reference in your post is linked now to that, we call them objects, that your post appears like a comment on the business page of that company. Then we took it further. It can be a product. So the company can publish their catalog on the blockchain, and if you want to reference that product or recommend this product, you can do it now because it has this permanent link just as well as your posts do. And so now you can have a very social architecture around other types of content, not just posts. You can comment on a wiki page, you can have a discussion there, you can have threads attached to that page, you can have a company, they can have a very detailed infrastructure in terms of explaining what kind of services they have. So it can start as simple as the name of the company, but you can attach an address, you can attach GPS location to it, you can add their social links, websites, phone, description, photo gallery, and then you can actually attach what we call lists. Lists is a menu, so you can include other documents there. So if it's a restaurant, you can attach menu, and you can have a full menu with all the items, prices, everything. And so this is the core foundational protocol which Wavio is using. And since that information is published on an open blockchain and it's an open protocol, so this information can now be used by anyone. It's not restricted to Wavio. It can basically be used on any website. Any website can have social links to companies. They can build maps out of that. You can build social recommendations for products. So let's say I have an experience with fishing, sport fishing, so I can collect certain items and say, like over years, these are the ones I would recommend. And so the user profiles on Hive now dramatically expand to include not just my blogs, comments, and threads, but they can also include my favorite places. And these are not just GPS locations, these are actual descriptions. It can be a mountain, it doesn't have to be a business. It can be a resort that I enjoyed, or it can be a restaurant or a local gym that I prefer. And then I will see all the other people that maybe commented on that, referenced it. So then I can have my local map, like me as a person. So I have a map, and I have all of these locations, which basically I just can heart, like you would normally bookmark like a story on Hive, but now you can heart a place, a business, a product, even recipes. Yeah, you can have actually your own collection of cooking recipes within your profile and basically bookmark them from different sources, and here you go. So this is the foundation of the protocol that Wavio is using, and that enables the free flow of information. So, just give you an example, like if you're an online shop and you want to publish your catalog, the information now can be, if you publish this on your website, it doesn't change anything. Now you need to go to all the different places where mm, you need to sync it on Amazon, you need to sync it anywhere else where your products are. And the internet is fragmented in this way, so that each website literally has its own copy. For example, like your business and you want to change hours of operation, so you change it on your website. Now you need to go to Google Maps, then you go to Apple Maps, then you go to different directories. Well, have fun doing it. So imagine if that information was once published on a public blockchain. So your website is literally hosted on the Hive blockchain. Then whatever changes you make, they're already public. And because blockchain gives you this permanent record, which cannot be removed, so it's very easy for third parties to rely on this as a reliable source of data. Because if it were, let's say, IPFS, well, you forgot to pin it, you forgot to pay for it, and it's gone. But if it's on blockchain, it is there. So that if I'm a third-party map builder or business directory provider, I can easily integrate your information into my app. In fact, I don't need to ask permission. Can I do that or not? Like, you can publish your information about your business. You don't need to ask permission. Can I do that? And others can integrate that information. And when you will be changing hours of operation for your business, it will automatically be updated everywhere because they're just reading information. They're not keeping a copy of your information. They actually read it directly from the blockchain. So whenever you post an update to that information, it's automatically available everywhere. And that is basically now we're coming to the original question, origins of the name. Because what is happening is you're basically giving a waiver for the free flow of your information. And so that's where the name comes from, Wavio. It's just from the word waiver, basically setting information free, allowing your information to float freely, be integrated into all other apps. And we see it as basically like a substantial revolution in how this is handled. Like, for example, open source completely changed the way we work with software. And, or for example, AI came and changed the way we process and interact with information. But the way we publish and distribute it is still very archaic. It's fragmented, and there's a lot of inflexibility, like basically a lot of permissions, a lot of copies, abandoned copies. And I believe that Hive blockchain can become this central piece that can actually power up the new era of the free flow of information, which clearly needs to go way beyond blog posts. We've given it 10 years. Maybe there is something else that exists.
No, I I have like a, this is not a joke, but it is kind of a joke. It's like you basically centralize the information by using a decentralized blockchain. But it's it's actually quite clever, and I love the fact that you brought up IPFS, because I'm sure that at any point in time when you were pitching these ideas to somebody, they was like, oh, I just put it in IPFS. But the idea of IPFS only works, as you correctly pointed out, if the information remains pinned. At some point in time, you stop paying Pinata, whoever it is that's pinning your information, it just disappears, and there you go. So this makes a lot of sense. But I want to tell you something. I mean, I think this should possibly make you happy. Uh, you're not the only one that is thinking like this about how we can use Hive for other things. And data storage is to me is just like a natural progression of what Hive is. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. Hopefully, Stalkers will show up a little bit later. He usually does on Tuesdays, and maybe he can share a little more. But I do know that They Call Me Dan and Stalkers are working on something precisely for this, to almost like back up the internet onto Hive. And the idea would be some sort of process of making immutable records, so that if somebody says, let's say that uh, a president, let's just say that a president makes a crazy tweet, right? And and you want to back it up into Hive. There's actually a program they already released that you can do that, and then it makes a permanent thing, and it cannot be deleted. So if it gets deleted tomorrow, you have the record. There's no denying it exists. It happened. So I think it's not, obviously it's not exactly what you're talking about, but it is a parallel path of what it is that you're talking about, because uh, what you're basically trying to do is democratize information. Anybody can access this information. I love the idea. I have to say, I love the idea of simplifying uh, the source of truth in this sense. Because if I was a business and I had my own website, and I had a page on Instagram, and I had a page on Facebook, and I had so on and so forth, all the socials that you're supposed to have these days, and I changed my hours of operation. I would love the idea that it's just, oh yeah, I just do it on Wavio, and that everything else updates. That would be amazing. uh, and at the end of the day, it comes to, is it pragmatic to do? Is it easy to do so? Is it pragmatic to do so? And I think if there's a very simple system to use, such a thing is game changing in my opinion. So I love that idea. I think that's very, very cool. But I, I did ask you a question, and I apologize because we stray off quite a bit, mainly my fault. But I want to ask you, who is developing Wavio with you? Is it just you? Do you have a team? Um, how are you making this happen?
Well, this level of software development requires team, and today, luckily, we're being dramatically reinforced with AI to do things way faster than it was possible before. So, yes, basically, I have a team. We're mostly self-funded. All of the work that we do is open source, published, and can be freely used, reused, and adapted. And yes, we're actually going extremely fast all these years. There's a lot of reports, and because in order for this to be practical, so one thing is to discuss how great the idea would be. We are today providing, so basically, and that's what Wavio service is, we provide web hosting. So you can launch just a website, and you can publish, if you're online shop, you can easily publish your catalog directly to the Hive blockchain. And you can even sync it with Shopify. There is API integration available for that. If you want to build a recipe collection, we have elegant solutions for that. We have several major influencers that are basically onboarding onto Hive. By publishing their large collections, like, for example, Norway Jose CuisineShop.com. He has over 600 recipes. They're all fully searchable. The websites that are hosted by Wavio also include AI assistant that knows all of his recipes, understands ingredients, can suggest changes, can compile menus for you. You can look at some websites with simpler names, like mealprephive.com. This is also about cooking, but this is more targeted for people that want to cook meals for the next 5 days. And if they're stored or frozen, they're still tasty and nice. With detailed recipes, direct integrate, like for example, Wavio is an official Instacart development partner, so that we are basically, if you want your audience to continue cooking with you, they can just click one button to order ingredients, and they will come to your home. Well, if you're not in North America, in like an hour. So if you've been enthused and you want to do it now, you don't need to delay it until your next trip. And also, like, just you can recommend products. So, like for example, cooking. Like if you had spent many years professionally cooking, you know what works, what doesn't, and now you can share these recommendations. These will be product pages, just their copy, basically on Hive. And the reason for the copy is that you can have social connections about it. So, like, you can collect reviews, whether they were published on, let's say, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. You can actually bring all of these reviews together under that page. So, yes, Wavio is providing a very sophisticated web hosting services. And this is a highly competitive market. And so in order to be competitive here, you should reach a certain level. And that requires excellence in the software development.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I have to say I think AI when it comes to programming is such an amazing tool. Of course, there's it also has its downsides. Like if you're strictly vibe coding and you don't understand anything, then you're likely to build something that's going to break really easily, or build something that is not safe. And we have some of that happening with some people that don't understand any of the code, and they're building apps that are not safe, that are easily hackable. There's a case recently, I don't remember the details, of a guy who influencer, big influencer, who took 2 or 3 months and built himself a subscription-based software, and then somebody hacked it in like a minute, and then he had to take it down, and now he hired a company and all this stuff. So, but I hear you. I think it's amazing. I think one of the best things that AI can do is help you study software really fast. So, since you're talking about open source, in the world of open source, that's beautiful. Like you grab somebody else's code, and you're like, hey, help me understand this. It's amazing.
Yes, the vibe coding today can give you pretty simple apps, obviously, and as you properly highlighted, security is an issue. What I was referring to is professionals empowered by AI.
Yeah,
and
of course.
This is entirely different
Entirely different
situation. So the code is still fully controlled by a professional, and the team that we have is exceptional. I think this is the best development team that understands Hive extremely deep. But we're using it slightly different to build real world applications that extend. Basically, our mission is to offer an alternative for web hosting. So if you have any website, it will make sense to host it on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Whether it's a company, whether it's shopping, whether it's cooking, it's mapping, whatever it is. And we're right now, like AI, for example, can be easily used to build web pages. And you can actually build a web page today and record it on Hive blockchain as HTML, and it will be live.
Yeah, you could very easily.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Grampo.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you something, because I want to talk to you about this in particular, because I am, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you're one of the first people that implemented Web 2 logins to work with Hive. And obviously, it's strictly on Wavio. But first of all, let me ask you, like, what was your motivation when you guys implemented that idea? And are you still pushing that? You're trying to make it a little better, maybe change it up a little bit, or it is what it is? Because the way it works right now, as far as I understand it, is that these are accounts that are controlled by whoever logs in with Google. They have a very generic name, and of course they gotten downvoted into the minus. And Wavio on the front end, you don't see that because it's not muting them. So, but everywhere else they are muted because they've been downvoted. and again, that's in my opinion, that's Hive resisting change, as far as I know. But tell me, what was the plan behind that? Did it work out? Did you learn something? Did it not work out? Is it something you're still pursuing or no?
It's a very actively used feature, and especially for people who are new to Hive, it's way easier for them to create, basically log in with something that they don't need to manage keys, and they can easily log in whether they're on desktop or on mobile. And that basically gives them a seamless experience. And they actually have a lot of features. Guest accounts are so powerful that actually we have one of the largest websites, which is hivecooking.com, which is operated by a guest account. The whole thing is built by a guest.
Oh wow!
Everything is built by it. It's a basically it has probably close to 2,000 recipes on it, and it's actually a huge application. So Hive guest accounts are highly functional, and they're not just on Wavio, they're on every single website that we host. So every single website will have that, and it's important because onboarding might be a challenging thing. Originally, guest accounts were created so that people can easily collect sponsored rewards. And sponsored reward is something that, for example, if you go to coffeeshop.gifts, they have like earn section, and they have probably like 50 coffee recipes, which today, if you repeat any of them, I think the rewards are from $5 to $8. So basically, you can cook yourself a nice cup of coffee, and it will be fully paid by a sponsor. There are many cooking recipes where the rewards are available. So you basically go to No Way Jose, cuisineshop.com. They also have a earn section, which basically offers guaranteed rewards for repeating a recipe. And we're talking rewards like $7. Yeah, they will be paid in Wave token. They will be paid in liquid Wave tokens. It can be actually a combination of upvotes and actual token, liquid token. So very basically, for example, if you've been promised to receive $5, and upvotes maybe gave you $2, so you will receive the remaining $3 as a direct payment. So, and in order to make it simpler for people to collect sponsored rewards, so that was the original drive for guest accounts. And once you earned money on guest account, actually you can, from any Wavio website, it has full wallet integration. So with one click, literally one click, you can pay bills in Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum directly with Wave. So you come to like a coffee shop, so you earn $5 in Wave tokens. You go to a coffee shop that accepts, let's say, Litecoin. They give you the QR code with the bill. You just scan it. And this is on any website that runs on Wavio. You can basically immediately just confirm this transaction. Basically tells you how many Wave you will be needed to pay for that. And yeah, you click and basically the coffee shop receives it. And this is, by the way, all done through, yes, Hive Engine. But you don't need to go to Hive Engine. All of that functionality is fully embedded into any website that runs on Wavio.
That is pretty cool. Is there a list of websites that I can look at? Because this is pretty cool. I don't know if some people know this, but I enjoy cooking myself. So the idea that if I repeat recipes, I can get paid for that's pretty cool.
And actually, the recipe, some of it you can just basically go to Wavio and there is earn section and you can see global rewards that are available, local rewards. But Wavio per se was never meant to be like it what the Wavio was mostly meant, like Wavio.com, more like a back end for websites, for basically managing websites, managing campaigns, distributing money, like all of that.
Yeah.
So the front ends, these would be actual websites that are run on Wavio. So, like for example, coffeeshop.gifts.
Uh-huh.
That will be a front end. It will be specialized front end. So you basically have the news feeds, which are like all of the people who are posting something with coffee hashtag. And in fact, I think Coffee Shop, I think they sponsor also ongoing giveaways. I think they're giving away like $10 or $20 every week to anybody who posted something with the coffee hashtag. But I think you need to qualify also for Wavio reward. So it's probably you also need a Wavio hashtag. So coffee hashtag and a Wavio hashtag, and you will be automatically enrolled in a giveaway. We also support giveaways on individual posts. So like if I make a post, like for example my latest post, I on Grampo, I just basically added a giveaway. I think it was like $20. So literally it was automatically selected from the list of all the people who liked the post. Obviously Marky Mark came and removed all the Hive rewards, but I mean, life it is what it is. But somebody won the prize, and so they got the payment.
Well, speaking of removing Hive rewards, and this is when we were going to get into controversial lands, but there's this idea, and I completely embrace the idea that we have to all guard the reward pool. Like, oh, we're supposed to guard the reward pool, and I'm all for it. I do my share, believe it or not, of downvoting as well. But I also think that sometimes we tend to be almost like an immune system that can overreact, and sometimes we scare away good people. Is it common? Maybe not. And of course, there's a lot more upvotes and downvotes. I know the stats, so I'm not saying we have a downvote problem in itself, but you know, but it is sometimes disappointing to see when people quit and all this stuff. And when a new project comes about, something like yours that is very different, that challenge becomes part of one of your considerations when you're trying to build, because you're like, hey, I want to do this. And by the way, it's not exclusive to you. Like these conversations that I have with Matt, that I have with Eddie, if you have an idea for Hive, you're like, oh, I have this idea. I want to build this. One of the things you have to consider is how is the community going to react? Are they going to embrace it? Are they going to think this is abusive? Are they going to think I am destroying the reward pool? Then the questions come: is this sustainable? Is this subtractive? So, with that in mind, the question is, how do you see your project as a whole? Do you see it as something that adds value to Hive? Do you find it that it has to be built on Hive? Could it be built somewhere else? And I'm not trying to tell you to go somewhere else. Of course not. What I'm trying to say is, are you symbiotic with Hive in a good way? Is that where you are? Where do you see yourself? Does that make sense?
Well, I've been present on the latest, I guess that was number 36, HIVE Thrive episode, where Logic was interviewed, and I was listening to this, and I decided not to comment then, but the problem with Hive in general is that at the base layer, it should have been sovereign, and we made it community based at the base level. And downvotes are the main reason, the main problem here. Just them existing in general. You see, when you say that Hive is censorship resistant, it's obviously not. Just because you can publish content, and Wavio of all the companies is doing it regardless of the downvotes that we're getting on everything that we do. The thing there is that uh, if you're consistently downvoted, basically you're disconnected from your followers. Your posts are being hidden on front ends and everything. So yes, it is censorship, and actually it's the worst kind of censorship because social networks, they thrive on dopamine, and the downvote is the worst destroyer of dopamine you could possibly imagine. There is nothing good in the downvote. The negative part about downvote is not just that you received it. The problem is that everybody who observed you receiving it will lose their dopamine. Because you see, it's basically like you need to pass a certain rules set by some people in order to fit. And this is so counter to the idea of crypto. This is so against the concept of sovereignty. Like, yes, you can open an account without asking permission, but actually, if you want to post something, you will need permission. But on Hive, the situation doesn't even end here. It's actually much worse than that, because our censorship on Hive is decentralized. So it's not like community decided. No, you've got one person logic, and just he explained that previously he was very rude, and now that he is getting more payment from Hive fund, he is becoming more reasonable. But even the fact that he said that shows you that our censorship rules are extremely person dependent. And then there is a Markey that comes with his own ideas, and I'm sure with great intentions and everything. But then he ends up with having his own policy. So literally, Hive is an example of decentralized censorship that is there. And I understand that there are communities on Hive, and if I join a community, I automatically abide by their rules. There is a moderator, there is a group of moderators, and they have some rules, and they can put these rules. And if I don't like it, I can join, I can leave the community, right? So I can join freely and I can freely leave. And the moment I leave their community, I'm no longer under their rules. With Hive, unfortunately, on the base level, because we have physical downvote, you cannot escape anywhere. There will be a person, like somebody who is managing a, let's say, Spaminator at the moment, who will dictate you the rules. Or there could be just any person came with his ideas, and so like, oh, you're not allowed to use photo hashtag if you're posting a selfie. And actually, this is not an invention. This is literally what you can get a downvote for on Hive. So Hive and the self-reflection is very limited because we're at the lowest price of Hive. Our audience is not growing. Like, I'm as an app developer spending a lot of effort to bring and onboard people. Like, for example, No Way Jose, which is she has like 360,000 followers on TikTok, for example, and I think about 200,000 on Instagram. Basically, we wanted to put his collection of recipes on Hive, and so we need to repost his archive. And so his archive, all of these posts being automatically downvoted, even though we explained through Discord that that will be the process. We informed it in advance. And then after we've launched the project and showed that No Way Jose actually linked from his profiles, from his TikTok and Instagram profiles, he actually links to this website that is hosted on Hive, right? So basically, all of his recipes are engaging and inviting people to engage on Hive. Even then, like all of his later recipes that have been posted, they also continue to be downvoted. So this is, you can use your own words to describe it, but with Wavio, initially the system was built on a Hive token. So all of the payments, all of the sponsored rewards, everything was on Hive. And that was a dramatic increase basically in utility and everything. But with all of that, we've been forced to basically launch our own token. And we're still using the foundational, the tidbit that is still censorship resistant on Hive. But everything else is basically it's a rule set which can be easily enforced uh, by a person who doesn't even is not necessarily part of the community. Anybody can come with their own ideas what they will be downvoting others for, and just proceed with that.
Yeah, speaking of downvotes that I don't get, the one with the photo, I think one of my onboards got downvoted because he used a label black and white, and it was a selfie, and I guess that label's for photography, and it was and he got downvoted. So I hear you. We tend to be uh, too aggressive with the
Yeah,
downvotes, and yeah.
well, it's not about the we. There is no we. There is like one person that have their own understanding of what they want to downvote, another person, and cumulatively, basically downvotes are censorship, absolutely, and they're pretty bad because basically they destroy users. You say you don't see the pushback. Well, people leave, but they don't have an option to leave just one Hive community. They have to leave Hive. And once they leave Hive, they became the deterrents. They basically say bad things about Hive, and they will deter a lot of other people from using Hive.
You know,
So we're just
I have this idea that, well, it's not mine. I think Acidio was the first one who recommended it. Maybe something that other front ends can do. I don't know. I certainly did it with Snappy, but what you said to me a little bit ago has been studied. This whole thing about dopamine and how likes create dopamine in the brain, and how dopamine is the fuel of social media, and how uh, without it, you basically don't have a business model. It is that extreme, and that is what led to Facebook, YouTube, and all these different platforms removing the downvote altogether. Some of them allow you to do it, but they don't display it, and it's precisely because of what you're saying. So this has been studied. So it's not really an opinion at this point. It is something that you can look up. Uh, with that said, it's not that difficult to do, that you can build a front end, which I did with Snappy, that does not show downvotes. Yeah, because for example, Marky gets like this dust downvotes from blurred users on everything that he posts, but if he on Snappy you don't see it. Because it's same thing with Acidio. Uh, Same thing with Kasim, who's not here right now. Now,
well, why do we even need them? And because we can easily manage all the problems using mute, and maybe we need a hide post individual, and then there will be like one person that is muting, and I can, as a, let's say, app operator, say, okay, I trust that person, and so whoever they muted, I'm not going to show in my front end. And we're talking about like accounts that are, and maybe somebody will specialize on accounts that are clearly doing phishing, or doing, you know, promoting something very
scams.
dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to trace that. The websites that are doing it are also pretty known. They're public blacklists, and by the way, Wavio supports them. Um, so we automatically try to avoid links, and then we also allow like people, if there is an external link and we don't know what it is, we give the warning and allow people to vote at it right there, so that they can highlight what's important, what's not. So on Wavio, there is a very powerful system of trust. Like, whom do I trust when I run a website? I have admins that are responsible basically for keeping information accurate. I can have trusted accounts. It can be like a shop that I show some of their products, and I trust them to keep their collection accurate. Mm, and I also have moderators that basically whom I trust. So they can mute, they can hide certain posts if they don't want to mute the whole thing. Mm, yeah, and that seems to work pretty well. And that would have been way easier system for Hive. But again, like I'm sure there are better people to understand this, though judging by the fact that we are still driving Hive into ground in terms of users and in terms of price, I actually start to question if actually Hive holders really understand um, and will be able to overcome their own ego to understand certain things.
It's a challenge. I think it this you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of how the government works or doesn't work. you know, because like big change, and this is we're talking about a big cultural shift. Starts with a spark, starts with conversations, but it's usually doesn't actually begin to happen when you hit some sort of rock bottom. In the world, in history, as a student of history, we know that when the in well, let's say in countries like France or the U.S. or what have you, other countries I'm sure I can think of if I had some caffeine in my brain. Uh, it led to revolutions and it led to wars. It led to crazy things, and then big change came. So um, I don't know if we're gonna have something equivalent on Hive. Hopefully not so bad. At least some sort of civil war happening. But there is a growing idea that we need to move away from where we are right now and start really just changing the culture. And of course, there's people that are fighting back and saying, no, we got to remain the way that we are. We just got to do blogs. We just got to no, and then don't use everything that is 100% AI free. And so your frustration is shared by a lot of people. As a matter of fact, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that we had Jarvie, and we were talking to Jarvie, and Jarvie, uh, I'm sure everybody knows who Jarvie is. He's one of the guys from Peak D. He also shares some of your frustrations, and he was specifically talking about, in his case, the use of AI. How he finds it that if I use an AI image and then I get downvoted for that's dumb. We're kind of pushing away innovation and scaring off new users. So I think he bit his tongue. He wanted to say a lot more than that, but the sentiment is there. So what is likely to happen, in my opinion, is that more and more people are going to begin to soften their stance because they are going to basically be faced with the reality, and they're going to have to make a choice. Am I anti-Hive or am I not? And that's going to be a binary choice because at some point in time, what does that saying go? How does that saying go? It's insanity is to do the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So if we keep on going down this path with this purity testing and all this stuff, and we're not open to new things, we're basically being insane.
Well, looking at the price chart, where it's not the first time we're hitting 10 cents, and we're still doing it. Downvotes is a huge problem. There are solutions to this, but basically, downvote is not adding; it's destroying a lot more. And should never been used, should never been part of the protocol, and it's pretty obvious. But our problems as a Hive, they don't stop here. If you do understand that our market cap right now is $54 million,
Yeah.
and our debt obligations in the Hive Development Fund (DHF) are $25 million. Do you understand that today, when you're buying Hive, half of it, and I'm not talking even HBD, which is also Hive debt. I'm talking just pure fund, which was created. It was obviously honeypot, which basically, when we converted from Steam to Hive, we put a huge chunk of confiscated funds we didn't burn them, we put them into Hive Development Fund.
Yeah.
And so that became the honeypot. So today you go to DHF Management Tool on PICD, and you will see that our outstanding obligations are $25 million of the Hive blockchain. So do you want to buy Hive?
Yeah, it makes it difficult as an investor to put in the money. There's actually you're kind of preaching to the choir right now, brother. Because one of the things that I've been pushing on lately and a lot is the the cutting back on the DHF expenditures. And I right now politically is
Correct,
actually
but yeah, correct. But it will be difficult for you to do because basically you've got like a small group of people who benefit from being a witness, and most of them would be also doing some project and receiving these funds.
yeah.
Most of these projects and again, I have a deep respect to somebody like Jarvie and Peak D. I really enjoy and appreciate the amount of work they do. But then again, it's a closed code, so only they can use it. Uh, and there are other projects that I have deep respect for. But we are spending money on things. And again, like I don't want to talk about spending which projects deserve and which don't. So obviously I have an opinion, but I don't think it's really the core of the discussion. The core of the discussion is that we have an outstanding debt of $25 million there.
Yeah.
And it's completely unsustainable. It has to be burned. It was placed there as a mistake during the Hive hard fork. At that time, it didn't seem much because the valuation was way bigger, so the 25 million didn't seem like a lot. Our consensus allows 10% of the inflation to be distributed to GHF, and that should be it. We should never ever exceed that, and whatever this loot was placed into DHF has to be obviously destroyed. It's just the first action that we need to do. Burn that debt.
I think you're gonna find a lot of people agree with you. I I, I, I think you're gonna find no
Well,
resistance. Yeah.
at the point when we're basically, we haven't grown in 10 years. We
Mm-hmm.
had our days, but we've lost all of the audience. We create a lot of people who don't like Hive and openly talk about it. Um, we have to do a lot to rebuild the reputation. But
Mm-hmm.
on the financial side, we need to be realistic. We need to get rid of this debt.
Yeah.
Not to mention, HBD is also not a very easy thing. It is a debt. And when the Hive is dropping in price like it does, the percentage of the market cap of HBD should be way below 15% of the market cap of Hive. And it is because HBD is not super popular, but this is a foundational problem. Obviously, it is accounted for in the consensus, in how HBD being added to the pool, being generated from the rewards pool, and all of that. Yes, there are some protections, but Luna example is there, and we know that the moment you exceed that. So we have multiple problems. All of them are well known. I'm sure that I didn't say a single new word. It's. I understand this discussion is sort of taboo. Everybody pretends everything is great.
No, no,
That
no, not at
Hive is
all.
somehow censorship resistant, or that Hive token is. Yeah, sure. The big tide will lift all boats, even as heavy as Hive. But I don't think any smart investor would bet on Hive at this current state. And the major stakeholders, and even though we say, oh, we don't have anyone who holds 50%, well, great, because the 50% guy would have been fixing these problems way before. But still, if you hold a bigger portion, um, you need to think. But then they're like, yeah, basically. Um,
Yeah.
well, delegated proof of stake is a little bit of a challenging topic. You look at EOS and how they self-destructed. They produced one of the best chains ever existed, and then they self-destructed by witnesses, basically. collecting all of the delegations and paying commissions from their witness votes and from everything they could possibly lay their hands on to get these political votes. And basically, the chain stopped innovating. Nothing was built on it.
Yeah, I remember SoFi being
there
built
is a
on.
danger, that.
Yeah, there was a
So
SoFi built
it's
on
important that
EOS.
Hive.
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah, I know we've kind of deviated now into a topic that was not supposed to be
no,
today.
it's all
But
good. You know what?
since I'm not getting any funding from DHF, I've tried, and obviously, as you said, that I'm a controversial person, which is kind of interesting to hear. I never considered myself to be one.
Well,
I
we can
don't attack.
discuss more of
I
that.
basically get the punches.
Yeah, we can discuss more
But
of
don't
that.
generally respond. I'm a builder.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss more of that in the after show. But so I'm gonna end the recording here. I'm gonna let you know if you're listening to this later on. The conversation's probably gonna get a little more spicy. But we're already at 1 hour and 20 minutes in, and we usually try to keep it under 1 hour. But the conversation has been good, so I wasn't gonna stop it. At any rate, this has been Hive Thrive, and we're gonna have, I think next week, is it next week or the week after? We're gonna have Crimson Clad, so that's gonna be also really cool. But with that, I'm gonna sign out. Grampo, thank you for coming to Hive Thrive, and thank you guys for listening. And with that, I'm gonna sign out.